useless, cruel vermin. These are just a few examples of aggressive descriptors that have been used in the past by British adults to describe young people. Harsh, right? If you add on race and socio-economic background to the conversation, those terms become a lot more damaging and degrading. Many say that superheroes follow a hero's journey, while I say artists do too. And here's a brief look into mine. So hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Anuli and I'm a workshop curator, designer and facilitator from the UK. But before that, I am a young Black woman navigating a world that has decided my voice is something to be feared and silenced. But you can never silence me because my existence alone screams and my art forms the harmony. I may not be in a cape fighting crime, but I'm trying to start or rather continue a conversation. So my artist statement, I left a QR code just in case you wanted to click onto it if I'm speaking too fast, but I wanted to start off by posing this question to you. Isn't all art created equal? Living in a society where art forms and how we consume them are evolving daily, the current world climate has pushed for a deeper understanding and acknowledgement of the role art plays in our lives and the power it truly holds. Workshop design, curation, and facilitation has been on the bench line and used as a tool to delve into other constructs of disciplines, but as an art form in itself, it has been highly underappreciated. COVID-19 has created an era of new ambition. Many are seeking avenues to deliver their messages to audiences in creative and engaging ways, bringing workshop design, creation, and facilitation to the forefront of the conversation. Educators now need to think of the importance of composition and delivery. So my design structures, they follow a cross-disciplinary form with aspects of video, photography, sound, music, drama. It all depends on the theme or topic I'm focusing on, along with the age of my participants. Some of these pieces I may have created myself, others I sourced from open platforms or my network. When constructing, I think about how may my participants leave the room with remnants of imagery stuck in their minds and the best practices to inspire and impart knowledge without overwhelming. I not only think about the music, but where and when. What is it making audiences feel or think? How will I tap into their emotions to empower them or spread a message? And most importantly, how prepared am I for any negative emotions that may arise from what I'm delivering? A good design is the intangible pieces, the aspects that you don't see, the thoughts and components I put together to create a seamless journey, or at least try to. I try to create experiences. I've used tools such as simulation, gamification, game for learning, game-based learning. You'll notice that I call them tools and not methods, as when I'm facilitating, they're no longer methods, but they're tools I'm using for my art form. And sometimes just a simple thought-provoking conversation. I wanted to use a moment to play this video that I produced a few years ago. Hopefully you can hear it.
To speak of love and try and define it can only lead to lies. To not speak of it condemns us to lies. So damnation seems inevitable. And the abyss that is love is reduced to a pit of light-heartedness in which hide and seek is being played. But how does one seek with light asleep with no remedy to waken it? And how does one hide when light starves one of sight to recognize one's being? This is love. What part of it? I wonder who the girl of my dreams is, or more accurately, the girl in my dream. This particular dream that fervently haunts me and simultaneously fills me with sweetness, capable of cutting the tongue. She, in a flowing dress, magneted by a skin of ebony or shine of a newborn star. I tell her, Bamidele, the authenticity of my language becomes deep and truthful to my roots, as the sight of her makes me whole, complete, conjoining my adopted land to my native. I achieve, dare I say, conceive birth to what resembles love, all as a result of our existence. So yet again, I say, Bamidele, Mofeko Bamidele Torimo Nifer. I said to an ephemeral presence, gradually hoping it becomes solidified so I can capture it, lock it up, and no longer feel an absence.
So I used this video in a past session to discuss the topic of culture and its evolution, especially from a Black British Nigerian perspective. These are some more images that are more recent. These are from 2021. And I plan to use them on my next project that's coming up to discuss the Black British experience once again from a first and second gen perspective. Especially as in the UK, the West African voice is heard a lot, but the East African and Habesha voice isn't as prominent compared to West African and some Caribbean voices. So what is my current process and line of inquiry? Well, how I get started, I want the Black and mixed with Black youth to see themselves represented in the art world beyond trauma. I feel like every day there's a new film or about a true story or tragic incident that has happened, as if Black joy is not allowed to thrive beyond Black History Month. And I'm tired, I've been tired, maybe you're tired too, I don't know. Now, don't get me wrong, I strongly believe that those stories are important and they deserve and need to be told, but they are not our only stories. Black people are not a monolith. I'm inspired by people such as Michaela Cole with Chewing Gum, Issa Rae with Insecure, Robin Thede with A Black Lady Sketch Show. Yes, parts of their shows touch on themes on Black trauma, but that trauma is not their defining factor. They are giving space for Blackness to simply exist as they are. So how do I use these thoughts in my creation or design process? If you look at the images on the screen, I follow a step-by-step route. This is a design thinking route. But with my current program, I'm changing it around a little bit. So first things first, I think about my objective. And my objective with my current project, well, one of them is bringing young people from this specific systemically non-dominant group together to collaborate and share their stories willingly. Therefore, a lot of the time you're sharing stories because we were being told to, not because we want to. So my aim as a facilitator on this project that I'm coming up with is not the final piece to be a masterpiece. It's rather to see the growth of the young people I'm working with through the process and be able to measure the impact and what they're going to do post-project. I feel like Black and mixed people, it is our voices being heard, but it's not necessarily only us that's going to be taking in the information. So thinking back to what I just said, there's a QR code on the screen. Hopefully you can click it. If not, I will put a link in the chat. I'm just going to type in my name so you can see the question. So I'm posing a question to you based off what I just said to you. My question is, what do you feel is the most important part of a workshop? So the blank is the most important part of a workshop. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you don't want to use the QR code, you just type in the chat and you can say which number you feel is the most important. Activity. Okay, thank you for answering. So the main answer that I did get was main activity. So personally for me, I actually don't believe there is a right answer to this question. But personally, in my perspective, I believe the debrief, which is the part that brings in all the talking points through the process, is the most important part. And this is where you really hone in your message and create a space for further understanding, giving audiences a chance to translate their takeaways into their current reality and answer any questions. This is also your chance to level up the energy in the room to the best of your ability and ensure that no one is carrying out negative energy post-project. Oh, I'm over time. Okay, I'm almost done. Okay, so my idea. I wanted to hear your thoughts on what hope is. So you can take your time, just click the QR code again and answer the question, and I'll check it after the presentation. What you feel, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of hope? And I'll keep on moving on since I'm running out of time. So my idea, unboxed Pandora's Hope. I want to explore the misrepresentation of Black youth and their voices, especially in the media, and use the Black trauma and the use of Black trauma to feed into the white savior complex. They say that hope was left in Pandora's box, so why not unleash it? What do I plan to do? I plan to create a cross-disciplinary immersive installation or exhibition, depending on the young people I meet, with at least 10 young people from the UK or London specifically, using a combination of film, photography, projection, poetry, scent, and music based on visual influences that we come together through a research stage to uncover Black narratives through the scope of the Black British perspective, touching on community cohesion, culture, class, heritage, tradition, and the emotions felt through that process. It's almost like improv theatre. You don't know what's going to happen until it happens, but that's okay. I want to give these young people a sense of ownership and a space to see their work come to life on their own terms. So through joining YCP and learning the Fearless Artist method with Kiki, I would say the first thing that has changed has been acknowledging myself as an artist outside of my circle and realizing just how strong my network is. And I've been able to identify on paper who are the people I rely on most and where they overlap. In my design creation process, who am I utilizing? When I'm facilitating, am I facilitating myself? Am I passing on the baton to someone else? But most importantly, have I been charging my worth? The answer is no, I have not. And this process has really taught me that I need to be more financially literate and confident in myself. So I want to say a big thank you to Kiki, Maggie, Deja for being on it, sending us all those Monday roundups. It's definitely been useful having those, everything compiled in one place. And lastly, I think being recognized as an artist is one of my biggest challenges, especially as I started out with film and drama before branching off into workshops. For many people, my discipline doesn't classify as an art, but that's why I leave this question to you. What is art, and isn't all art created equal? And I'll end it there because I'm so much over time. How do I stop sharing? Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was such an awesome presentation. Do we have comments? We can do around 3 comments on Lee's presentation. Feel free to raise your hand and I can call on you, or you can jump in.
I'll jump in first there. So, first of all, well done. Well done. I'm so just the sheer force of your presentation and you and all that you have to offer is overwhelming. And I just see such a tremendously rich future for you and doing many different things around the world. So I'm excited to start it off with you and reflect back on our one-on-ones and office hours and time spent just hearing, you work out your own thinking. Because at the end of the day, that's what most of you all do anyway, is pretty much work out your own thinking. And you just need the prompting or the sort of space to do that aloud. And that is, I love the process slide. That is one of my just things. That's my jam. So showing how do you take an inspiration and crystallize it, explore it from many different perspectives. The video was beautiful. The video was an example of how simplicity can go a long way. How when you sometimes are just focusing on the essential elements of the art and the artistry, your approach to it was so alluring and captivating. The movement, of it, the lighting, the words, the guy's delivery. Wow. So all in all, I was really super blown away. And, you have such a strong style and presentation talent for presentation. Your presentation, your homework is always just exceptionally presented, and you know, you have everything. So just congratulations and all the hard work that, and thank you for the thoughtfulness that you put into it today. And I will um, leave it to the group to share.
Awesome.
Oh, never mind.
No,
I
please
have,
go ahead.
okay, there's a German word that I don't know for the life of me how to pronounce it, but I've read it a couple times that it's a principle where you encompass poetry, performance, sculpture, art, and you kind of involve it in like this one single cell like thing. And I don't think I've seen an example that I can pick up right away that will remind me of that term, aside from like really ancient work. And then this definitely reminds me of something that's all encompassing. It's a concept that it's all this, like this powerhouse cell of like a concept. So I really want to applaud you for that. And that was really great.
Awesome. I see, Joe, you have your hand raised. Feel free to jump in.
Yes, howdy. Let me do that. Great presentation. I was really struck by your use of Pandora and Pandora's box. And I just wanted your thoughts on, you know, some people would say, I would say, you know, that the stories of the patriarchy blame women for the evils of the world. And, you know, whether it is Eve eating the apple, getting you know, Adam and Eve thrown out of the Garden of Eden, or whether it's Pandora who opens up the box that she's not supposed to open up and all the sins of the world fly out. So I'm wondering, you know, what your take on that is, this notion that, you know, the patriarchy has built these ancient myths and stories surrounding blaming women, and you're sort of taking the power back. So that's just, and I really enjoyed your presentation.
Can I respond? Is that okay? Oh, yeah. That's actually really interesting that you mentioned Adam and Eve also, because in my first year of university, I actually did like a fashion film, taking back the power, Eve's power. So it's quite funny that you mentioned that. But yes, I definitely feel like with stories like this, I think the onus goes on every gender. I don't think it's specifically women. And I feel like in every story, there has always been another person involved, even though someone specifically bit the apple, opened the jar, other people played a part. They could have stopped it. They could have all eaten it. I feel like it just happens that that person was a catalyst for it to go further. But I believe personally that everybody has a role in it happening. Like, for example, with Pandora's jar, which we all thought was a box, but mistranslation, it turns out that Hope didn't come out because they specifically said Hope shouldn't be released. Whereas if she had opened it and Hope came out, we would have been fine. Yes, there's all this evil, but Hope at least still would have been outside. So I guess I think everybody's to blame.
So I have a quick question, Maggie. So what do you need to further your work?
So I recently applied for, with my university, I've graduated now. I applied for a program called Seeds, which is like an I can't pronounce that word, entrepreneurship program, which is a 6-month program where you get like a mentor, and after the 6 months, you then hold your own exhibition. And I've also applied for, I'm on a fellowship currently called MCW, it's Miracle Corners of the Word. I applied with an elevator pitch to get $500 to work with my projects. I'm applying for loads of little funding to try and build up a big one. I did apply for a big funding last year and I didn't get it, but I've taken the feedback from that to get it. So currently I'm working on funding to get the supplies, get a location, and also I'm trying to connect with NGOs that would maybe willing to join on board and maybe provide like a poster, just something. Because I know that asking one person for a lot might be hard, so I'm trying the smaller routes. That's like currently what I'm doing.
Okay. Are you creating a business model for this?
So what I've done is I created a social action plan. I don't know if that counts as a business model,
Okay.
but what I've done is I created like a budget and like where I think the location could be and like how much I think it could cost. And I tried to keep it as low as possible, but I know that the number I put was very low and it wasn't realistic, and I didn't put in an artist fee for myself, which should have been like £500, which is what I've seen most artist fees are now. But as I'm doing like NGO work, normally they're like, oh my God, we can't do that. But I'm trying to like push, especially as I want to at least try to give the young people I'm working with some funding too.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely should write in community engagement. And that's the fee that you use for the young people that participate. And you can round that up. Like you can decide it's $100 per person, whatever you want to do, £100 per person, whatever you want to do. And that's community engagement activities. And write it in that way. So that again, people from a funding standpoint will understand that language as well too. And then for yourself, I mean, and it's a great question that you posed about art, in that way. That's why I said when I'm speaking, some people, it's creative, it's a medium that they use, but in design thinking, that is your medium. You know what I'm saying? That process, that methodology in itself. So you may want to write yourself in the budget from that standpoint as design manager. And again, to get the necessary funds for yourself, because particularly in the UK and London, design thinking is not new. People know what that is. They understand it. US, you got to do a lot of explaining, but you have the advantage of the design council and things like that there that we don't have here. So if you use the term design manager or design thinking or even human-centered design, which is what your work is as well, a human-centered designer, you're in a place that will understand that language. So I would say to you, use that in your funding to try to get the necessary money to cover what you're doing as well too. Okay. You're welcome. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well done though. It looks good. That process is great that you're showing. Have you done an empathy map with those young people too?
I didn't do an empathy map, but I did it as 2 steps. I did it, what do you think is going well currently and what do you think can go better? But I started with well first so that we didn't start from a negative tone, and then try to make it as constructive. Is that similar to what you're saying? I'm not sure.
It is. It's similar. So what you may want to do is really make it an empathy map, because the questions that you're posing is an empathy map. And again, you being in the UK, you have an advantage to use this process. So I would take those questions and really turn them into an empathy map. And if you have, out of the young people you have, if you have like 4 of them that will really provide you with how that process impacts them most, then that's where you'll use again from a funding perspective with your work. That also will show the furthering of your work, because you can go back to that empathy map and look at it, what they say they needed, and then did that process work that you actually developed and you designed, in that way. So then you do have social impact, in that way as well. And then lastly, look at doing an innovation impact cloud. Look at doing an impact cloud. So look that up. You can usually find it, and it will give you kind of a percentage and these bubbles to show the impact that your work may have provided for the young people, so that you can again get funding moving forward. You are welcome.